Have you ever just stopped and thought about the gap between the mega wealthy and, well, everybody else? It's so huge it feels like they're living on a different planet. Today we're going to tear down all the old advice about making money and actually show you the real equation that leads to wealth. But first, let's just try to wrap our heads around the numbers we're talking about. Okay, so here's $1 million. For a lot of us, this is the goal, right? This is the finish line. Hitting this number means you've officially made it. Now look at this. 10 million. We are in a completely different ballpark now. But then you have this almost unbelievable jump to $1 billion. That's 1,000 times more than that first million we looked at. It's hard to even picture. And at the very top of the mountain, you have someone like Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. His net worth is 117 times that, $117 billion. So that's the scale of wealth on one end of the spectrum. Now, let's get back to a reality that's probably a little more familiar. Yours. You know, for so many of us, the whole money thing feels less like an opportunity and more like a game that's been rigged from the start, and we're not on the winning team. I mean, does any of this ring a bell? You did everything they told you to. You got the degree, you got the job in your field, but everything is just so expensive, it feels like you're not getting paid what you're really worth. And you're stuck with debt, student loans, credit cards, you name it. The idea of being wealthy feels like a total pipe dream. And it's so easy to just land on this one thought. It feels like a rigged game, and you were put on the losing side before you even got to play. But here's the thought. What if it's not a rigged game? What if there's an actual, real equation for building wealth, and you just were never taught it? So before we can even get to the new rules, we have to unlearn all the old junk. Seriously, most of what we think we know about money comes from our family, from school, and honestly, most of it is just plain wrong. Okay, check this out, because this one stat just blows a huge myth right out of the water. We all have this idea that rich people just inherited all their money, right? But a report from WealthX found that of the world's ultra-wealthy, we're talking people with over 30 million bucks, a whopping 68% of them were self-made. See, the reason most people get stuck is because they're using the wrong equation. The old equation we were all taught is that money comes from a salary. In other words, you trade your time for money. But there is a massive, fundamental flaw in that model. Just do the math. Let's say you earn $20 an hour, working 40 hours a week. It would take you almost 24 years just to earn $1 million in total. And that's before taxes, before you pay for anything, and before inflation makes that million worth way less. You're trading your single most valuable resource, your time, for money that will never ever make you truly wealthy. So, if trading time for money is a dead end, then what's the right way? Let's finally get into the real equation. The very first thing you have to understand is this. In our society, you do not get paid for how hard you work. Let me say that again. You are paid based on the perceived value that you provide to the marketplace. So the real question is, how do you increase your perceived value? Think about it like this. A cleaner might work way harder physically than an accountant who's sitting at a desk all day. But that accountant, by saving a client thousands of dollars on their taxes, is providing a much higher perceived value. Their skills are specialized, they're not easily replaced. The market rewards value, not sweat. And that brings us to the absolute core of this whole thing. The real wealth equation. It's not some crazy math formula. It's a simple 3-step process. First, you find a real problem that people have. Second, you become obsessed with creating the solution to that problem. And third, and this is the part that unlocks everything, you build that solution so it can scale. And finding a problem, it's way easier than you think. You just have to listen. What are people complaining about all the time? What drives them crazy? What's super inconvenient? I mean, every big company started this way. Uber solved the problem of trying to find a cab. Netflix solved the problem of late fees at the video store. You gotta remember, money doesn't chase people, it chases solutions. So, finding a solution is huge. But now let's talk about the final and most powerful piece of the puzzle, scale. This is the secret sauce. This is how you finally break the link between your income and your time. This is the perfect example. A yoga teacher who charges $100 an hour has a job. A good job, maybe, but their income is always capped by the number of hours they can physically work. But what if that same teacher creates an amazing online yoga course? They only have to film it once, and then they can sell it to an unlimited number of people all day, every day. Their income is no longer tied to their time. That is scale. A local restaurant, for instance, has very low scalability. It's stuck in one physical spot. But a software app, once you build it, the scale is basically infinite. You can sell it all over the world online for almost no extra cost. This is the kind of thinking that creates massive wealth. But why? Why go through all this trouble to build something? What's the point? Well, the answer isn't really about getting rich. It's about what being rich gets you. Because at the end of the day, it was never really about the money. Money is just a tool. The real prize, the thing we're all actually after, is freedom. The freedom to wake up and do what you want when you want without ever having to check your bank account first. And that brings us right back to the most important thing of all. It wasn't about the money. It was about the one truly precious resource we all have. The one thing we can spend every single day, but can never, ever get back. Our time. So the real equation for wealth is really just about solving problems at a massive scale in order to buy back your own time. Which really just leaves you with one last big question to ask yourself. What problem out there do you care about so much that it's worth your struggle?